Hello and welcome back to Everything's Fine Probably, the show that sifts through the week's news dumpster fire to find the marshmallows. I'm your host Jim, and yes, we're still here, still caffeinated and still finding the stories that act as an antidote to the news that makes us all consider throwing our phones into the sea. This week, Keir Starmer has announced a significant immigration crackdown, aiming to reduce the UK's dependence on foreign labour. This comes as he positions himself against Nigel Farage following local election defeats to Reform UK. Reform has now overtaken the Conservatives as the main opposition party in public perception, with 37% of Britons considering it the primary alternative to Labour. Reform UK, proving that if you shout loud enough about immigration, people will forget you have no actual policies. And the UK has seen its hottest start to May on record, prompting fire services to issue warnings for wildfires. The National Fire Chiefs Council reported 439 wildfires in the country since the start of the year, a significant increase from previous years. Britain, where we complain about the rain 11 months a year and then spontaneously combust in the 12th. So, with politics in the soap opera spiral and the countryside auditioning for a role in Mad Max, it's clear we need a palate cleanser, and that's where we come in. Everything's Fine Probably is your weekly antidote to the chaos. A reminder that amidst the madness, there are still stories to make you smile, laugh, and believe that maybe, just maybe, everything's fine. Probably. And I'm joined this week by Stu and by Shelley. Hello, both of you. How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I went to the rugby. We were just talking about that before we came on air.
We did indeed.
It was good win for the Harlequins. Nice day out in London.
Yes,
and nice day in the sun. What about you, Shelley? What have you been up to?
Well, I was ill, but then I got better. But I mean, I had a nice weekend the weekend before I got ill.
Okay.
So I'm living about 2 weeks in the past.
Well, I mean, we're in Norfolk where we live literally years in the past sometimes. So don't feel bad about
I went to my first Hampshire Beer Festival.
Did you? And
Yeah.
How was that?
That was quite nice. Yeah, it's my local pub. It's got a microbrewery. So they do their own beer festival every year. It was meant to be a beer and music festival, but there was only one band every evening. So I wouldn't really call that a music festival, really. But there was a lot of beer.
Marvellous. Well, that's always a good thing at a beer festival, even a micro beer festival.
Well,
so,
Jim, I think, that is an unintentional link there. Can I jump straight in?
Jump away, my friend. Jump away. What have you got for us?
Peak booze, Shelley. So there's a growing buzz across the cultural landscape. And no, it's not just another craft beer launch. It's a deeper question that's sparking debate. Have we hit peak booze? While some headlines scream the end of alcohol is near, the truth is far more layered. Alcohol consumption is shifting, but to say it's collapsing misses the bigger, richer story unfolding. This week, Bloomberg published a thoughtful exploration of the idea that global alcohol consumption could be entering a period of long-term decline. The piece touches on rising health consciousness, younger generations drinking less, the rise of cannabis, psychedelics, and non-alcoholic alternatives. It paints a compelling, if slightly dramatic picture. But the real story deserves a closer look.
Oh,
absolutely. So, all right, Jim.
This is making me feel really uneasy. As long as there's not going to be prohibition, please do continue.
The health and wellness revolution is changing drinking culture. The connection between personal health and drinking habits has never been more prominent. Across demographics, but particularly among the younger generation, there's a growing awareness of how alcohol impacts mental clarity, physical health, and overall wellness. That's kind of the point, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if we have hit peak booze,
Mm.
as you say. I mean, it's great news for our livers. It's terrible news for our karaoke career.
But on the side of looking at it more deeper, whilst the volume of alcohol may be decreasing in the West, places like Africa and the Far East, alcohol is actually on the increase. And in the West, it's a case of now people are getting more sophisticated. They're drinking nicer brandies, nicer whiskies, nicer gins. And also another undeniable factor is that there are far more alternatives than ever before.
Yes.
So as I said, maybe we've hit high peak mass volume booze, but alcohol is very much alive. So isn't that great news, especially for us on Saturday? Although I don't think we were being overly picky on what we were drinking. Do you think?
Well, I mean, I drank Foster's at one point. So
Oh,
no,
okay.
absolutely not.
Oh no. Can I clarify? Hang on, what's the good news? The alcohol is
I'm struggling with good
just
news.
one of those
What is the good news here? Is it
Well,
we're drinking less booze, or is it
It's just that
booze is
Stuart
alive
said
and
it's
well,
good news.
despite what they
well,
say?
no, the good news is, although we are drinking less, we're actually drinking better booze. And as a result of that, that's driving economies like craft breweries. You said, Shelley, you went to your Hampshire Beer Festival with your craft beers and so on. It's good for health as well, isn't it? But the alcohol's role in culture is evolving, not disappearing. It's critical to recognise that alcohol's role in human culture is deeply rooted and adaptive. From ancient rituals to modern celebrations, drinking has long served as a social connector, a ritualistic marker of milestones, and a shared communal experience.
Yeah, because I wonder if there wasn't alcohol, I don't know if I'd be friends with you two.
This is a slightly unusual start to a good news podcast here. I'm maybe a little bit torn on how good a news that is. I'm going to turn to Shelley to see what she's found for us.
So I have found some good news, and it really is good news. And I actually read the articles and everything and looked into it, and even did a tiny bit of research by Googling. I don't know what that means.
I mean, your journalistic skills have really come on, Shelley, and I applaud you for that. So what have you got for us?
So the European Union are going to be prioritising green skills for healthcare workers. So what it means by that is that it's identified that training healthcare personnel in with green skills would be a good strategic priority. It sort of comes off the back of the fact that, healthcare is a huge contributor to climate. Well, actually, I think overall it's about 10% of CO2 emissions is from healthcare. So, and oh no, sorry, it's 5%. Please forgive me on my statistics. Yeah, healthcare systems contribute approximately to about 5% of greenhouse gas emissions. So, working in healthcare, I know what a wasteful system it can be in so many ways. It's wasteful in the fact that, like pharmaceuticals, there's a lot of equipment and things that can only be one use only. So there's a lot of like plastics and things that you have to dispose of, and you have to clinically dispose of things as well.
Isn't that for hygiene reasons, though, Shelley?
Yeah, it is. But it's, the thing is, we would have spent years and years just throwing these things away. Whereas now there's like drugs companies that are offering like recycling schemes, injectable pens and things like that. So they are starting to actually come up with these sort of sustainable measures. But I think the other thing is, it's just when you sort of think about like sustainability, it's actually about making systems more efficient as well. So so they are trying to invest into sort of getting healthcare, like basically having this kind of the green skills added into the fundamentals of healthcare professional training. so that when people are kind of reaching points of like, you know, working in teams, managing teams and things, that they're actually going to be looking at more, well, just at better, greener ways of providing services and running services. So I think this is good news. I know we have to do sort of little sustainability project where I work, but usually a lot of it is just focused on waste. But I definitely think about the amount of times that, say, because the systems are all under so much pressure, that we don't give really a very good service anymore. And I'm happy to say that out loud. I know that I go to work and do a pretty shit job.
Are you sure you want to say that with something that's going to be broadcast across the internet?
No, I put my hands up, but you know, basically what I mean is we can't always provide the service that we want to provide because we're really restricted we're limited with, you know, what we've been provided to do to give a good service. So yeah, we are very restricted, especially at the moment.
Good. Well, I think this is a good news story. I'm much happier with this than maybe the Pete Booze one, because I can definitely see where the good news is here. I think a personal good news story for us, Stu, is that Shelley, who freely admits she goes to work and does a crap job,
I do.
working for our trust. Last week, Stu, we talked a lot about China, didn't we?
We were big in China
We were
quite
big
a
in
lot.
China. I'm going to continue that theme and big them up.
Oh, is it about pandas?
No, pangolins.
No,
Last
but I heard of pangolins, but I just wondered if maybe you were going to now talk about pandas.
Panda news.
What, recycling?
Panda news.
Panda news. Do you have?
No panda news yet. I have got some elk news.
Oh, fantastic.
But before that, I want to talk about recycling in China. Not the recycling of pandas, I'm afraid to say, but China is turning trash into cash. And I'm not talking about selling Shein clothing on Vinted. China's EV batteries and solar panels, those glowing emblems of the green energy revolution, are now dying in such large numbers that they've spawned a booming $38.5 billion recycling industry.
Mm-hmm.
The electric car graveyard has been turned into a very profitable, very metal mining operation. So this circular economy is so circular it makes the Olympic rings look like straight lines. Chinese companies are extracting lithium, cobalt, and a whole cocktail of expensive metals from dead solar panels and defunct car batteries. It's like organ donation for robots. Now, if you start feeling smart, this $38.5 billion industry is already twice the size of what the US hoped its solar recycling sector might be by 2050. Meanwhile, America's clean energy waste plan is still somewhere between a white paper and a wish. So while the US debates whether climate change is real and lets billionaires launch penis-shaped rockets, China is digging literal gold out of yesterday's Teslas. Now, it comes with the side of regulation. China's signed up 156 companies to stop the battery recycling industry from, accidentally poisoning entire provinces. So is this progress? Well, maybe. I mean, remember the previous Chinese industrial booms ended with Googling, "Can I drink this river?" The actual good bit is that the scale of China's clean tech expansion is actually mind-bending. They installed 277 gigawatts of solar last year alone. That's 15% of the entire world's solar capacity in just 1 year. So at this rate, they'll be able to power the future and recycle it too. So we might now be living in a dystopia where your kettle has a longer lifespan than your car battery. But at least now those batteries are getting a second life, shredded, smelted, reincarnated into an e-bike or a phone or a government surveillance drone. And that's nice, isn't it?
Well, I don't know if you know, but I used to have a job where I was involved in this whole recycling loop.
I mean, I'm frankly shocked you had a job, but yes, go on.
I feel like I'm not sure if this is going to be one of those stories that you make it sound like it's really true, but it's not.
No,
this one. Nothing really dies in China, Shelley. It just gets recycled into a business plan. So you have an EU story as well, then, Shelley. Something to do with
no, actually not all my stories. Two of my stories are all from the EU. We
fantastic.
We have China theme. Now we're on to an EU theme.
We are.
Yeah, so Poland has officially abolished its last remaining LGBT free zones in the country.
That's not good. That's not
So
good.
what?
That's not good, is it?
What you want there to be LGBT free zones?
Oh, I see. Right. I misunderstood
Oh.
that. Right. Yeah.
No,
Okay.
this is a good move by Poland. It's just a reminder it's never too late to stop being on the wrong side of history.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's more.
So this was a policy that was
I really know what you're doing, Stu. So the last LGBT free zone is gone. Poland's taken a step forward. Only several more steps to catch up with the 21st century. Tell us more about it, please, Shelley.
So it was these LGBT free zones were started 6 years ago with their last like right wing law and justice government, but it actually lost its office in 2023. So these zones were basically just announced LGBT free or banned the LGBT ideology in these areas. So local authorities could then, in the areas, like discourage tolerance and stop providing funding for non-governmental organisations that promoted equal rights. What's turned this, not only with a change in government, because they are still centre right. It's actually the EU that have sort of stepped in and saved the situation, because EU commissioning withheld funding to any of the regions that did this on grounds that they were enforcing discriminatory policies within the zones, which obviously they were. And sort of it also garnered criticism from like LGBT and advocacy groups as well. So if they wanted their funding, they really had to drop these zones to get funding back into those areas. The EU also passed a resolution at the time to condemn the zones, describing the measures as a part of a broader context of attacks against the LGBTI community in Poland, which include growing hate speech by elected officials and public media, as well as attacks and bans on pride matches and actions such as Rainbow Friday. So it was actually a court of appeals that ruled that the four zones must be abolished. So this is a really good step in the right direction, especially when I think there's a lot of governments at the moment that could be learning from this. So I'm worried that
that's not pointing any specific things, but well done to the EU. They sound quite good. We should look at how you join them.
Jim, have you got some elk news?
I have got some elk news.
You did mention that earlier. Tell us about the elk news.
Okay, so yes, those big, majestic, slightly bewildered looking deer that haven't been seen in Britain since we thought bronze was the cutting edge of human innovation are poised for a comeback to parts of Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire. Because apparently once you get the beavers back, you might as well go full Disney woodlands. Okay, so beavers, if you missed the memo, were wiped out in the UK 400 years ago. They're now officially back, approved for reintroduction across England.
Hang on, beavers or elks?
Beavers. I'm coming on to elks.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, there's a connection. So the beavers have already made themselves comfortable in several spots. They're turning boring streams into elaborate plumbing disasters, and ecologists couldn't be more thrilled. Big natural civil engineers fix floodplains to create wetland biodiversity, and occasionally they annoy farmers by flooding a perfectly good field of turnips. So like Greta Thunberg in fur. So now elk could be next. Not just because they're large and dramatic, though they absolutely are, but because they play a vital ecological role. As semi-aquatic grazers, they help shape landscapes, create habitats, and if this goes well, they could be the most exciting thing to happen in Derbyshire since...
Yeah.
So bringing elk back to the Midlands, because what's a better way to say nature is healing than with a creature that can clear a 5-foot fence and still look surprised about it. Rachel Bennett from Derbyshire Wildlife Trust says elks and beavers are crucial ecosystem engineers, and that's ecology speak for animals that accidentally do great landscaping. Meanwhile, Rewild in Britain has just thrown some money behind the project, making it official. Elk are no longer just a pub name, they are a conservation goal. Not everyone is thrilled. Some farmers are worried about the beavers' dam building habits flooding fields. But, you know, to be fair, if you're in Britain and you're not underwater at least once a year, are you even trying? So if anything, beavers should be hired by Thames Water because at least their infrastructure works.
Well, I'm all for that, reintroducing wildlife. Were they native to the UK?
They were. Yeah, they were hunted to extinction like
What for their fur?
species.
Yeah.
Goodness, that's probably just for a laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know because I didn't know we ever had beavers or elks. I
Yeah.
thought they were just North American.
No, we had both. So it's nice. We've got extinct species making a comeback, biodiversity booming, and rural England might soon feature actual elk just vibing in the mist like a David Attenborough fever
So
dream.
what the elks bring to the party then? Like, you know, the beavers, yeah, get that, making the dams and so on. Civil engineers. What do the elks bring to the party?
Well, all I can really tell you, all I know is they are semi-aquatic grazers and they help shape landscapes, create
Okay,
habitats.
right.
Oh, do they poo seeds?
Yeah, they might do, yeah.
Mm.
So, you know, lots of uses for elks. So elks, they're on their way back.
Good. And beavers.
And beavers too, yes, absolutely.
That's great elk news.
Researchers at the University of Bath have decided that people are not using their robot hoovers enough.
Right, okay. So, right, yes.
Yeah, so
delete, but go on.
yeah, so scientists have reprogrammed a robot vacuum cleaner to help charge a phone and assist in a home workout because they think the machines are currently too idle. I mean, I can't say that was a massive concern, but it's just very, it just made me quite happy to think that that researchers are really
Nothing better to
worried.
do with their time.
Yeah.
I did say, now I looked into this though, because you said you were going to cover it. And apparently the researchers did say that robot vacuums can help with mental health. Which that does sound quite cool, but it feels weird being emotionally supported by a creature that panics at a rug.
Well, there was many different things that they felt that they could do other than hoovering, which apparently they're actually not all that good at.
They're very good at bumping into furniture, aren't they?
How can they help with a workout?
So they can project the workout onto a wall, like a little video projector.
Okay, so like a video there's one for the teenagers. So you get to watch a workout show and
that's being projected onto a wall.
Right. Yeah, okay.
So there can be a projector.
There isn't any alternative to that, is there? You know, if we didn't have you know, a Roomba projecting a workout video onto a wall, we will have to go to the gym.
I mean, there are other brands available. Apart from it, can I just say, I used to have a job, and I used to buy those, the iRobot Roomba, and we used to sell these on a TV shopping channel. I mean, it was the most boring hour ever to watch on the TV. And you're right, it was just this like round vacuum cleaner going up to an edge of a rug, not really cleaning anything, freaking out, as you say, and then going back home. And we were selling those for 400 quid. So yeah, I think they should do something else.
They should raise the game.
I think they should raise their game because they're expensive and they're not very good either.
So, yeah, there are other things. So, I mean, one of the more useful was that it can be used to play with cats. So
of course you'd spot that. Okay, so it plays with the cat. Well, give it a few software updates and it'd be too.
So it's like you can put a laser pointer on top of the Roomba, so it will move around. And
I mean, there's millions of videos of cats on Roombas, aren't there? I'm sure you must have seen
They
them.
won't be able to get onto the Roomba because it's.
There are other brands. iRobot, Roomba, other brands are available also.
I'm going to keep saying Roomba, so you have to keep saying there are other brands.
Roomba.
Well, there
Yeah.
are other brands, though.
Me-
iRobot. Just
Yeah.
like to make that clear. We're not being sponsored or anything, so it
Not
really
yet.
doesn't
I don't think we
fucking
will. I
matter
don't
in the
think we will if we carry
slightest.
on like
I cannot for the life of me imagine what sort of brand would want to sponsor the show. Can you? Really? I think this is good news. I'm quite sick of Roombas just going around, getting stuck on the edge of rugs and doing bugger all day. So if they can just do even something as basic as have a cat follow it around because it's got a laser pointer, I suppose that's useful, is it? Or would we be better off just stop making them, stop charging them, and save all that text? It's nonsense.
I mean, I think it really, this is, researchers in the University of Bath is just making me, it's just another thing that's making me feel about this is what happens when you lose your EU scientific research funding.
Possibly. It's a damning indictment. University of Bath need to pull their finger out as well by the seconds of things. Stop messing around with Roombas and at least experiment with other brands.
I bet they're having a brilliant time though. That is their working day. I mean, what a job.
Yeah, it gets to the end of the day, there's got old cancer's beating us again, get the Roomba out. See what we can do with that.
I think Roomba should up their game. I agree.
But I know, oh my goodness, like, what's the point? It's just about time. I mean, it's been annoying so many people. It's been troubling so many people.
Did you buy one?
No.
One last thing from me, one final thing, and this is about exercise as an anti-aging tool against mental fatigue. So it seems that what your nan's been telling you for years, getting off the sofa, does make you sharper. Retired people who exercise regularly are more resilient to mental fatigue. So this is scientists from the University of Birmingham and the University of Extremadura.
Where's that?
I have no idea. But they're not messing around with robot vacuum cleaners like certain universities.
Yeah.
They have confirmed that going for a brisk walk or doing a bit of yoga can actually help your brain fend off exhaustion. Because it turns out when you're older, you don't just lose your keys more often, you also become more vulnerable to that fried brain feeling after doing basically anything.
Is it a case of use it or lose it?
Sort of, but it's not necessarily about using brain power. It's that physical exercise will keep your brain sharper. So if you are a silver-haired gym rat, mental fatigue is no match for your resistance training. Older adults who exercise regularly perform better on both physical and cognitive tests, even when they were already mentally worn out. So use it or lose it, as you mentioned, applies to both your biceps and your brain. And we thought the most mentally exhausting thing about retirement was figuring out your TV remote. So researchers have even suggested something called brain endurance testing, or BET, which combines physical and cognitive exercises. That means you can now forget where you left your water bottle and your Sudoku puzzle simultaneously, but do it while you're in a treadmill. CrossFit for the mind, but with more grunting and fewer recollections where you parked. Professor Chris Ring, who led the study, said the results are clear. Regular physical activity helps older adults maintain cognitive performance and physical stamina, even when they're mentally drained. And in a world where the most taxing thing might be trying to log onto an online pension portal, that's going to be good news, right? So if we're going to face the slow decay of late-stage capitalism and early-stage osteoarthritis, we might as well do it with decent quad strength. So here's your takeaway. If you're tired and you're retired, get moving. Whether it's pickleball, tai chi, or just running after the dog that's escaped again, it all counts. You will stay sharper, stronger, and less susceptible to the dreaded brain fog.
Well, that sounds quite tiring, really, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, you don't have to do big style workouts, but it's this whole idea. If you stay sharper physically, then you'll stay sharper mentally.
Absolutely.
The science is there to back it up.
What is pickleball?
I was going to ask that.
No, I only know this because you said we went to the rugby on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and it turns out that a friend of ours has got quite into pickleball. So it's
Is that American?
I'm not sure, but I think it's a bit like tennis, but it's played on a badminton-sized court.
It sounds delicious.
Sort of, it does, doesn't it? with hard sort of wooden bats and a little pellety type ball. I don't know, I don't really understand a huge amount about pickleball, but it is becoming incredibly popular. It's very popular in this part of the world as well.
Why?
In Norfolk.
Why?
I don't know why.
Okay.
Very little else to do.
Why
I don't know. Why do Norfolk people do anything?
Why do Norfolk people play pickleball?
I'm not Googling it. I can see that look in your eye.
Yeah,
I'm not Googling it.
I'm just Googling pickleball because I want to see if the ball is edible.
It's not going to be edible. I don't think it's a food thing.
Oh, I haven't had my dinner yet. I'm really
Yeah, it's exercise based.
Good.
So get off your sofa.
Get some exercise.
That's got to be good, isn't it? That's got to be a good way to finish.
I would have thought so. And yeah, I think it's a good place to wrap it up for this week's episode of Everything's Fine. Probably your regular reminder the world isn't entirely on fire. And even if it is, someone somewhere is inventing a recycled solar-powered hose to deal with it. And none of these stories that we covered this week come from a parallel universe or the back pages of a feel-good Pinterest board. They're real, they're happening now, and it's proof that the world is still full of good people doing clever, kind, and occasionally slightly mad things to make life better. So if the news has left you curled up into a fetal position screaming into a tote bag, remember this. For every dumpster fire, there's someone out there with a hose, a plan, and probably a PhD. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you.
Take care. Stay hopeful. We'll be back next week on Everything's Fine, probably, where we can't promise to fix the world, but hopefully we'll help you have a bit of a laugh at it. Bye for now.
Goodbye.
Bye.